We now recognize the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Duncan. 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, for this opportunity to speak to you today about one of the priorities that this committee faces in the coming year. The Savannah River site and the Savannah River National Lab is a unique asset to our nation. The National Lab is critical to developing new technologies which will lead to new ways to defend this great nation. I was pleased recently to lead a tour of the site with my colleagues from South Carolina. My testimony today is intended to convey that the critical work being done at the Savannah River site is treated the same as other defense-related projects by protecting what is vital, even while we cut non-essential spending to reduce our overall budget deficit. Perhaps the largest national policy impact of the Savannah River site relates to nuclear non-proliferation. The work done at Savannah River directly impacts our treaties with Russia and our ability to match the work being done to dispose of surplus weapons-grade plutonium. Disposing of excess fissile materials has been a major U.S. national security and nonproliferation objective since 1994, endorsed by every president and Congress since that time. Under the 2000 agreement, the United States and Russia have committed to dispose 68 metric tons of surplus plutonium. These materials, if put on the open market, could wind up in the hands of our enemies, the terrorists who wish us harm. These are the materials that are being disposed of safely at Savannah River site. Disposing of surplus U.S. weapon-grade plutonium demonstrates that the United States is living up to its non-proliferation commitments by drawing down its nuclear arsenal in a transparent and irreversible manner. I especially want to bring your attention to the work being done at the chemical separation facility known as H Canyon. H Canyon is the only facility of its kind in the United States, yet the Department of Energy has proposed putting it in a warm or standby mode. Putting H Canyon on standby or warm mode will inevitably cause severe negative impacts and would cost taxpayers more money in the future than it would save immediately. Repowering this type of facility after it's been out of commission for any period of time would require extended time frame, increased amounts of funding. Furthermore, the likelihood of ever restoring H Canyon after achieving standby mode is, at best, slim. The loss of human capital that is so crucial to the site's success would be incalculable. The Savannah River site is the only location in the country that has an operational large-scale facility capable of used nuclear fuel disposition. The site's capabilities include the processing of nuclear materials, plutonium, and spent rod storage, tritium production and recycling, and nuclear forensics. The FBI forensics team also uses the National Laboratory at Savannah River site for homeland security purposes. The Savannah River National Laboratory also has significant expertise and capabilities that could be an invaluable resource in assisting situations like the current nuclear issue in Japan and other comparable nuclear or environmental challenges both here and abroad. One last point I'd like to make. South Carolina has lived up to its commitment, and now it is time for the federal government to live up to theirs. Commitments were made by the federal government to ensure that even as SRS takes in new materials for processing, the site cannot be the final home for these materials. The important work at Savannah River site transforms these relics of the Cold War into something that can be peacefully used in the 21st century environment. If H Canyon is unable to process the aluminum-clad spent fuel currently stored or scheduled to be sent to L Basin, there will be no disposition path within the complex, and all of this material will be stranded. It would be a betrayal of the federal government's commitments to lower the operating capabilities of the site while leaving the radioactive materials behind. I trust that this committee will not allow that to happen. The entire mission at the Savannah River site is vital to our national defense, our economy, and our focus on energy independence. Congressional support for the FY12 budget is critical to the overall success of the national security effort at SRS. I continue to urge this committee to protect the important work being done at Savannah River, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. The thing that's interesting to me is I think about the 435 districts around the country, is how much there is to learn from each member about their districts. I've never heard of the Savannah River site before, so I appreciate you coming and educating us about this. Does anyone, Mr. Wilson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Chairman, I want to extend an invitation on behalf of Congressman Duncan and myself. We would love to have you come visit the Savannah River site. And it's really extraordinary. It's 350 square miles where nuclear preparations have been underway. It was called the bomb plant. And it's an extraordinary facility. It could not be replicated anywhere east of the Mississippi, but it's in place now. And you would really, we'll be working to get you there, and including Congressman Conaway, too. He needs to come visit. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank my colleague and fellow South Carolinian, Congressman Jeff Duncan, for making the committee aware of these important issues to South Carolina and Georgia. I agree with Congressman Duncan that the committee should be focused on strengthening our nuclear threat reductions. We remain concerned that failing to secure weapons-grade nuclear materials will increase the chance of our enemies having the ability to acquire nuclear weapons. As Congressman Duncan promotes in his testimony, and as Secretary Gates has already stated, our nation needs to maintain our aging nuclear infrastructure, both facilities and professional personnel. The Savannah River site in South Carolina is a great example of the progress that can be made with proper resources. I want to point out that South Carolina has the perfect climate that is meteorological and warmly pro-nuclear, pro-military citizens. Many of the people Congressman Duncan and I represent were victorious in the Cold War. When called upon, they helped defeat communism by manufacturing the ultimate deterrent for peace, nuclear weapons. I know firsthand of their commitment because in the 1980s, I was a personnel security hearing officer at the Savannah River site. South Carolina and Georgia remain a stalwart for the national defense missions at Savannah River site, but we're concerned that the administration is closing down the unique national asset H Canyon, which to replicate would be $3.5 billion. This one-of-a-kind facility is critical to the disposition path for types of plutonium and highly enriched uranium. In the President's fiscal budget of 2012, the Department of Energy plans to reduce the operating cost of H Canyon from $250 million to $150 million. This would result in a permanent loss of personnel talent and expertise, the outcome leading to a loss of a national asset for our nuclear complex. We can all look forward to working together to address the issues of nuclear proliferation, and I look forward to working with the committee and the full House on these capabilities to be maintained, especially H Canyon. Thank you, Congressman Duncan. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.